Buddy, Ryan Brock here, your podcast host for the DigiMarCon East here in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. I am so excited to be joined here by, I forgot your Alex?
Yep, Giannakoulis.
Giannakoulis. I said it right a second ago, and I knew it, but then I completely blanked it. Alex Giannakoulis from IV. We're booth mates here, and we've been enjoying the energy of the show so far. And we're going to talk to Alex about digital advertising, I think, a little bit here. So tell me about IV and what you do.
Yeah. I founded IV in 2018. IV is an acronym, since for in-vehicle experience enhanced.
Okay.
The inception story was when I was venture investing before starting IV. I started to see that ride-hailing and self-driving cars were becoming more prominent. What will people spend time doing when they're in transit? Today, people spend about an hour a day in transit, normally driving themselves around. What happens when you become a passenger? That's what IV went to figure out. How will you spend time in transit?
Yeah.
And so, we created passenger infotainment software for the past 5 years. 2 years ago, we added an advertising element to it. And we're trying to make that first a better ride for a passenger and then drive outcomes for businesses like advertisers, fleet owners, and so forth.
So it's interesting. I'm on the organic side of things, and so I spend so much time thinking about reaching broad audiences on search engines, things like that. You guys are like finding a way to bring digital, like really informed digital advertising to like a hyper local environment. It sounds like.
Yeah.
So I mean, what kind of advertisers are most interested in this? Like, what kind of brands are the best fit for this?
Yeah, so you keyed onto it, hyper local, and then we say national scale, because there are places where hyper local matters a lot, down to a zip code or a point of interest, like an airport, or maybe a pizzeria's 5-block radius, right? So that you can go super hyper local with certain points of interest. And then you have what people do in the vehicle, and we have a 10-inch screen in the back of ride-hail vehicles, taxis and black cars, so people watch videos a lot. And when they watch videos a lot in kind of a lean-back mode, that is a national reach for, let's say, a content play like a media provider, entertainment provider.
Sure.
So it is hyper-local, right, with digital capabilities, but then it does have that kind of like video national feel to it. So you can do that.
So you just said, and we were talking a little bit ago, so I'm not faking this for the podcast audience, but you just said, like, okay, so hyper local, like if you're within 5-block radius of a pizza place, so your devices are kind of like aware of where they're at all times, and you can, okay, if this car happens to drive into this zone at the time it's time to serve an ad, that is, wow.
And relevant for the passenger in that sense, right?
Yeah, right.
Because it's something that could be great, and that's what we try to do, is try to find advertisers that help uplift the experience instead of putting something that's not relevant to the passenger.
Yeah.
But they're geographically aware, contextually aware, and they're 4G connected tablets. So our software runs on that and tries to make every bit of content relevant to the passenger.
So do you know anything about the passenger other than where they're at right now?
Logged in users we do have, and so those logged in users we can tell a little bit of the demographic. But the thing we capture a lot is the psychographic data. So we've licensed premium content from 20 live streaming, video on demand, and audio sources, and let the passenger choose what they want to do. So then you can have metadata that says, "Hey, I'm interested in relaxation right now because I've had a long day."
Yeah.
And cool. Now now you have like a wellness persona and what they do at that time. You can get down to like, oh, they're doing a headspace meditation. So that psychographic data is what we have with what people do in real time during the ride.
Interesting. I mean, everything that I've been talking about with people today here at this conference is all about just like, we keep saying hyper-localization, but hyper-personalization. I mean, that's what the attraction of something like AI is, right? Like, we can't not talk about it, but like, it's the assumption that without having to be technical, I can live my life and have the technology around me learn me and provide me with a more custom experience. Can you tell me a little bit more about like the kinds of advertisers that you've dealt with that have like just been like, yes, this is exactly what we need? I'm sure the like that promise, if you can get super specific, understand this person's psychographics, like what kind of marketers are you talking to that are most excited about this?
Yeah, so movie trailers do really well as an example, right?
Yeah.
So Fandango and the kind of click-through rates and then redemption rates down to like, you watch this, you might be interested in the movie ticket. Those were very high, right? Native experience, if you think about it, like if it's native, it feels great. And we have really great around discovery. So before Drizzly went under and before COVID, educating people about that they could order alcohol online, that was difficult back in 2019, early 2020.
Sure.
And so discovery was a big deal. Like just being able to like kind of, I have some time to discover something, and they walk through. We had like 33% click-through rate on Grizzly offers, and
33% click-through rate.
It's mind-boggling. Like I tell you this, and you're like, yeah. But I think the reason is it was night out experience, and then you chose to interact with the user, with the experience. So I'm not pushing something on you that's not in your way, and it's relevant to you because we know a little bit about that journey. You know, but there are other numbers I can tell you that you'll be like, is that possible? Like, and we just follow the data.
Yeah, well, that's. I think it's like there's a bell curve with like advertising targeting in particular that I'm thinking about. Where like there was a time where everyone's seeing the same ads on TV or on a billboard or whatever, and then like I feel like for a little while we've been like in the middle of the curve, which I would call like the place of being annoyed just all the time, always, right? Where like technology is so able to zero in on our digital activity that like you go on Facebook, you go wherever you're browsing, you're going to get hit with ads over and over and over again. But it feels to me like we're starting to go down the other side of that bell curve towards less invasive, less in your face, less you're just going to get beat over the head with this, and more you're asking for this. I mean, like my world is SEO, for example, and like I'm all about like, well, let's meet people where they are when they're asking for help, right? Not like later. And I often find myself talking against the ad guys and saying, yeah, we need to stop that. But this is like super intriguing to me.
If it didn't feel like an ad, it's a win for us.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, for example, we have what we call ride modes. You get into a ride. What is something that you want to do? Let's create curated content around it. So if you're in the mood to like relax or learn something or work, right? The first thing you can choose the ride modes. Choose tap on one of those, and then content that sits below that is all curated for that. Now, when you see a placement that's contextualized, so like let's say American Express is sponsoring work mode, and it's telling you something about their product, if you choose to interact with it, you're already in that mindset. Great. If you're in relaxation mode and it's calm, sponsoring a digital meditation, is there an ad? Mm-hmm. Right? So like we use the sponsored content as a way to make it feel like it's something good for the password that they've chosen to do without being obtrusively in their way. Those perform really well.
That's fascinating. Really well. So what does the future look like for a channel like yours?
Yeah. So the first thing we got to do is develop what were people natively doing in the back of Uber, Lyft, and taxis. What are they doing?
Are you sure you want to ask that question? I don't know if I want to know the answer to that.
Today I asked the driver that came over with us, like, so tell me some funny stories. He's like, I only have bad stories. I'm like, what? He goes, people throw up in the back.
Yeah, that's about it. End of list.
So that's the edge case. But the majority of the time, what people are doing, right? They're playing music, for example. Here's something we didn't think about. We let them play music, and 40% of the people that engage would play music on our platform. And we had really low options. We don't have many options, like 8 genres. But that made us, hey, let's find more ways to make that better for people. What other things people do in the back? Yeah, like I said, the kind of discovery. Things I'm not aware of that I have time to kind of interact with.
Yeah, I'm on a ride from the airport. What's going on in this city?
Look, 30% of the, a little bit more than 30% of the rides are 30 minutes or more. Mm-hmm. And so when you have that kind of time, you've done the things you need to do. You check into some emails, right? Look outside, talk to the driver, whatever. We're able to get 5 minutes or more of people engaging, and we just want to make that more relevant to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really smart the way you're talking about the engagement in those terms, because like you think about like digital marketers, you tell them 5 minutes of engagement, that is a very rare thing to offer somebody, and I think that like that's thinking in those terms is going to be helpful for marketers this year and moving forward. The idea that we're not spending less time on search engines, or we're not spending less time on social media, we're just spending time other places as well. Like we're dividing that up. Yeah, that's interesting. If I wanted to find you online, if I wanted to learn more, where do I go?
Goive.com, GOIVE.com. And then some of our social handles are Ride Ivy. So if you go on LinkedIn or Twitter, you'll find Ride Ivy.
Yeah, that's always fun. All right, well, Alex, this was a great conversation. Thanks for sharing, and take a look at this if you're interested. I think it's good stuff.